in there, you can go ahead, but this will be good enough for me. Alright, how's it going, everybody? So, I've seen this pop up a few times on the Facebook pages, and I've been asked this once or twice since I didn't really show how I did it all that well on my car here. So, I'm going to make this video showing you how to properly, and kind of the only way to do the oil return on a SR20DE. Alright, so when I did this on my car, I had the engine all the way out and everything like that, fully disassembled. I was doing rings and bearings on it, so I didn't have to really worry about anything else getting in the way. But just to show that if you really don't want to go that far, you can do this with it in the car, with the crank still in there, pistons, all that stuff. Everything's still assembled. If you were to just take like the radiator out, you could get a good shot. Probably have to take your exhaust off too and all that, which if you're turboing it, you'd have all that off anyways. But take your radiator out and you'd have a nice straight shot to it. And then drop the upper lower oil pan. Make sure you don't get any shavings, none of that in there. And as long as you're careful, you could do it with the engine fully assembled. So that's kind of how I have my spare block set up on the bench here. I already went and kind of just with a Sharpie marked like a center line, and then also took a punch and just marked a hole where I want to drill it in the center. But just to show, you can see I do have the girdle in here still. I don't have the crank or nothing like that, but you could rotate it, the crank, so that it's not, you know, the big fat lobes aren't really like lying in your way or whatever. So yeah, I did leave the girdle on there though, because that's what's kind of mainly in the way, because you don't want to have the drill bit protrude a whole bunch and start drilling into this. But yeah, so you're gonna need a few things. We'll go through those real quick. I use these are like the step bits or whatever. I use that to kind of get like the main of the material out. I'll go as deep as I need to, which is like 5/8, or a little bit bigger than that actually, because this is the actual drill bit, and yeah, it's 11/16. But this is a little bit. This was 20 bucks for this, and I actually, doing it on that one, I actually already chipped up the teeth a little bit. So not sure how well it's going to work, but I use that along with these, along with something like these two. Like this is what I'll do like the initial pilot hole with, and then I'll go to the step bit, and then I'll go to the actual drill bit. And then you're also going to need this little set, or you can get this individually if you could find it. Like you probably get it online, or like some hardware stores might have it. But this is just a cheap Harbor Freight tap and die set. And you're going to need, I believe it was this one, the big guy, which is, yeah, it's the big one, 1/2-inch MPT tap. And then once you have that, some threads tapped into this hole here, then you need to go get a 1/2-inch NPT barb. Or if you want to be real ghetto, I figured out you could just use like 1/2-inch NPT threaded like pipe. That'll work in there, and then you could just like cut it, shove a hose on there. But do it right. Go get an $8 barb. You can get them at like Napa, or I think I got mine at Pep Boys. But get one of those, thread that in there, and then you're good to go. So the main thing definitely you want to pay attention to, aside from making sure you don't hit the girdle or anything in there and getting shavings, anything in there, is these, I believe, are like PCV jackets or something like that. Crankcase vapors. and you do not want to drill too high and go up into those. And also, you got to kind of make sure you don't come out into the oil pan surface. When I did mine, I cut it real close, and the drill bit just started to kind of shave into that surface where the oil pans, or the upper oil pan, mates to the block. So if I was at like a little bit more of an angle, it would have really started cutting in there, and then I potentially could have had issues with leaking. But I was all good. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, get a little drill bit set up on my drill and start drilling this. Alright, so I got the pilot hole drilled, and I did manage to do kind of what I didn't want to do, which was drill the hole a little bit close to this mating surface. You can see there, it's definitely, once I have the full size hole in there, it's definitely going to come up into this surface a little bit, but I think we'll be okay. So basically at this point, I can go ahead and switch my drill bit over to the larger step bit now and keep drilling. Alright, so I did get the hole fully drilled. I managed to do a little bit of what I didn't want to do. I nicked the girdle a little bit, no big deal, that was no big deal. And I did drill into the surface for the oil pan. But again, I didn't do it too bad. I can get around that. The only main thing is, like obviously the lower oil pan is going to surface all the way to there, so that in theory it's going to cut down a little bit of the oil drainage. But I don't think it'll really harm it too much. And if you really wanted to go crazy, if you did this on your lower oil pan, you could do the same thing, kind of notch it in that spot where it mates up, and then you still have all of this sealing surface. So I'm not really too worried about that leaking. And here you can see the hole, pretty nice all the way through. It's not perfectly centered on this. You can see it's a little bit off to the side, but will be good enough. I can go ahead and get the tap out now and put some threads in there. Alright, so now that we got the hole drilled in here, go ahead and get that 1/2 inch NPT tap I said you guys are going to need. And the best thing I found out to put in this is I just got a little adjustable wrench like that, and just do your best to keep her straight. Alright guys, so this part's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to go ahead and get some threads popped in here. Actually, let me get this motor supported a little bit better so it doesn't push when I put some force on it. Get my 2x4 locked in place. Tubifer. Alright, so we got that. Now, is our tap straight? Heck no. This is the part I always hate. I hate putting threads and stuff. I really do. But it's not too bad. You just gotta take your time on it and you'll get it right. Now if you've never used a tap before, you want to go a little bit forward, and you're going to bring it back, cut those threads loose that you just made, let it fall into these little cavities, and keep working. Do not force it. This is a really big tap, so this you have to put a decent amount of force in, but you'll be able to tell, like, it's a lot of force, but it's a smooth amount of force. If you feel it kind of lock up, don't just force it through. You know, do that, go back, and then you'll feel it kind of get smooth again. And I feel like I'm going crooked. I'm going to put a bigger wrench on it, and I hope it's not a bad idea. Just everything I can see, it seems like it's going straight. Keep spraying some WD in there. That helps. Come on, I just need a couple more threads and I'll be happy. You don't have to thread the whole thing, obviously. Give me a little spritz. I'm going to go a few more turns and that'll be good. let's see how many threads we got in there with that. Yep, I'd say that's probably good enough. I mean, you could go crazier if you want to, but there's really going to be no pressure on this, so as long as you can get enough threads for that thing to bite in there, get some Teflon tape on it, whatever, and you're fine. Again, this is going to be my motor, so if you want to do it a little bit better on your own, go put a few more threads in there. You can go ahead, but this will be good enough for me. So then, like I said, you go ahead and get a NPT bar fitting and 1/2 inch NPT bar fitting, throw that in there, and that's it. Your block will be properly tapped for a turbo oil drain. So, hope that helps some people. Yeah. Go ahead and subscribe for anybody. If this is the first video you're seeing by me. I do have Turbo Sentra, Turbo SR20 of myself. And yeah, so you'll see some videos of that on here and all sorts of stuff. So go ahead, stay tuned. Like the video for me if you're new, or just like the video in general for me actually. And I'll see you guys next time.